This was one update which we did not want it to come so soon, but it has finally been announced, and this I have been talking about for almost a few weeks and months by now. This is about the Spousal Open Work Permits, and this has now been announced. It will be implemented. It will be effective 21st of January 2025. This update impacts international students in Canada and also temporary foreign workers in Canada. So no change with the international students as long as you are completing a professional degree or you are completing a master's degree of 16 months or a PhD, then your spouses are still eligible for an open work permit. The big change has happened with the temporary foreign workers in Canada or people who are in open work permit under the International Mobility Program. For these individuals, first change is that your work permit at the time you make an application, you being the principal foreign national in Canada, your work permit should be valid for at least 16 months. Only then your spouses will be eligible to apply for an open work permit. And second big change is that now it is going to be only tier category 0 and 1 who are eligible to get an open work permit. In addition to that, some occupations under tier category 2 and 3 will also be eligible. The list of these categories has not been announced. This will be announced on the 21st itself, but this list will include occupations which are in natural and applied sciences, construction, healthcare, natural resources, education, sports, and military sectors. So if your occupation is within these sectors and it is under tier category 2 and 3, you may still be eligible, but please wait for the final list of occupations that will be announced by the 21st of January. Now, I know that another big question is about the extension of spouse open work permits. Now, please bear in mind, what do you mean by extension? So, for example, you received a shorter duration of your work permit in Canada because of your passport expiring. Now, if you are in this position, then you might still be eligible to apply for the extension under the current circumstances, under the current conditions before 21st of January. However, if you are a person who is studying and now is going to apply for a postgraduate work permit, and therefore on that basis your spouse will apply for what you refer to as extension, but actually is not extension, but will be applying for a new open work permit, well, to all of these guys, these new conditions will apply. So extensions does not mean that earlier you were on an open work permit because your spouse was a student. Now you will be on an open work permit because your spouse is going to be on a postgraduate work permit. This is not an extension. This is a new application for a work permit for spouses. And yes, all these conditions will apply to you. So now, if you are going to be on a postgraduate work permit, you will have to find an occupation, a job under tier category 0 or 1, or under tier category 2 or 3, but under very, very specific occupations. Now, all these changes do not apply to those people who are already on their path to permanent residencies. So if, for example, you're applying for a bridge open work permit and your spouse is accompanying you, your spouse is included in your PR application, then this does not apply to you. These changes will not impact you. Or if you are currently a permanent resident or a citizen in Canada and you are applying for an open work permit for your spouse, if your spouse is already in Canada, you have your AOR, and in those conditions also, these changes will not apply to you. But overall, these changes are going to further reduce the number of temporary foreign workers in Canada, which has been the sincere effort of this current administration of reducing the number of temporary residents, reducing the number of temporary foreign workers in Canada. It is understood that by this change, there could be a reduction of between 60 to 150,000 workers in Canada because of all these changes. Because bear in mind, spouses do form a big contingent of temporary residents in Canada. Overall, a change we were not hoping would come into effect so soon, but here it is. It has been announced. At least they are giving you some time. You still have a week in front of you to make the necessary changes, or if you are eligible, to ensure that you are now going to be submitting your spouse open work permits and lock the date before the changes come into effect on the 21st of January. Of course, do check the IRCC website for the list of these occupations when they will be announced. But hopefully you should be able to submit your application. If you're ready before the 21st, then please do so. Do share this video with others who might also be in a similar position so that they are aware of all these changes.